everyone, and welcome to the pilot episode of CD Reviews with John. For those of you that don't follow me on Instagram, I recently made a post talking about how I am mainly a vinyl collector, but I'm also collecting CDs as well, and I would like to start a series called CD Reviews with John, in which I will be reviewing CDs that I own, because there are a lot of albums that I want to review, but either were never pressed to vinyl, so vinyl isn't an option, or there is a vinyl, but it's way too rare for me to shelve the money it would cost to have one right now. And let me tell you, we're not really going to be starting out on the most positive of notes, because today we're talking about my very first album, A Deer in the Headlights. Released on December 21st, 2023, this was not an amazing early Christmas gift. I'm not saying musically it's bad, because actually, there are some moments on this album that I think musically are pretty good. But the execution of the album is not great, and the biggest flaw of this album is not really that original. The songs themselves are original, but almost every song on this album rips off a part of a song in some way or another. And also, the execution of the album is not great. Now, to be fair to myself, this was kind of the first time I was really, producing an album. I didn't really know how to produce music very well. I had a pretty good amount of experience with recording stuff, but not necessarily with mixing. But there's some weird design choices on this album. For a lot of the songs, I didn't even have lyrics written down, so I literally just sung lyrics as I was recording them and just had them stick if they sounded cool. Another weird decision I made on this album is that most of the bass parts aren't actually a bass. They're a keyboard bass patch, which is very weird because I did have a bass at the time and did know how to play bass perfectly fine, so I don't know why I decided to not really play bass actually on this album. Whatever. So getting into this album, track 1 is called Welcome to the Land of Pain. The first thing you hear on this album is my friend Tate saying, "So we're about to eat this grilled cheese." And we had a weird thing where we wouldn't stop going, "Eat your grilled cheese," or something along those lines. So out of nowhere, he just sends me a video of himself eating a grilled cheese sandwich.
So we're about to eat this grilled cheese. Something like a grilled cheese.
That I decided, you know what, I'm gonna use this as the first thing you'll ever hear on my album. But actually, this was a very last-minute decision. But after that, we are off into a pretty fast-paced, upbeat rock track that is basically a complete rip-off of Muzzle by the Smashing Pumpkins. From what I remember, this was one of the last tracks on this album recorded, and I realized, oh my god, this is basically the same song. Okay, they're not exactly the same. They both kind of branch off into their own musical paths. They're not the same, but the main hook of the song is exactly the same. The same melody. In fact, it starts out exactly the same. I'm not a fan of it. It's the least original song on the album. Every other track that does rip off a part of a song is at least clever in how it does it, and it still incorporates it in a thing that's unique and a song that is distinctly my own. But this one, it's just a Smashing Pumpkins song, but transposed to a higher key. And yeah. Track 2 on this album is called A Lot Less Innocent. This is a cover of a song by Pause for the Cause. This song's off their first album, their self-titled album, and it is an amazing song. This cover is pretty good, although I kind of completely fucked up the beginning guitar part.
We were walking down the back streets, taking in the scenery, talking about the world and how it used to be.
Walking down the back streets, taking in the scenery. talking about the world and how it used to be.
But overall, this is an extremely faithful recreation of the song. So, honestly, I think this is a good song. This was the very last song I ever recorded for this album, and it's one of, like, 2 songs that actually uses an actual bass instead of keyboard. Lyrically, this song is about, well, growing up and you realized, oh, shit's kind of fucked up. Now, I did actually change a few of the lyrics, because I thought some of the lyrics sounded kind of weird.
Over, you're bound to be no Virgin Mary. Welcome to it.
Take over your country, no ordinary. Welcome to it.
I don't know. I really love the guitar solo to this song. I think the only fault to this cover is that the vocals aren't great. They're fine, but I'm trying way too hard to hit some really low notes that were way out of my register at the time. And so, even in the bridge, I had to actually change the melody a little so I could, actually sing it.
I know that we're a lot less innocent. I said that we're a lot less innocent. I get that we're a lot less innocent.
I know we're a lot less innocent. I said we're a lot less innocent. I get that we're a lot less innocent.
But yeah, overall, this is a good cover. Track 3 is called Along the White Light. This is an instrumental track, and it's just a kind of wandering, meandering piano. This track's not bad, but it goes on way too long. And it's also very empty. At one point I did try and put drums in the song, but considering this song is in free time, that was really difficult to do, so I just said, fuck it, I'm just gonna put it out as just a piano track. This is definitely the basis for the track The Flowing Body of Water off of While I Run on Empty. And I definitely think it was a lot more fleshed out on While I Run on Empty than Along the White Light on this album, because The Flowing Body of Water, whilst it's kind of similar where it's just a piano in free time just kind of noodling around, it has a lot more structure, and plus it isn't empty because it has more stuff in the background and there's more instruments that come into the song later on, whereas Along the White Light, it's just a randomly wandering piano that just kind of goes nowhere. This track doesn't really rip anything off per se, but this middle section is pretty similar to the piano part from I Want You to Love Me by Fiona Apple. Alright, up next comes the track ACP. What the fuck does ACP stand for? I don't fucking know, but one of my friends was asking me, hey, what does that stand for? So I decided to look up what ACP was, and I guess this song is really called Affordable Connectivity Program. So Affordable Connectivity Program starts out with some very filtered electronic percussion things. This song also doesn't really rip off anything, except for the very opening with, this filtered electronic drum percussion stuff is pretty heavily lifted from the song Full Stop by Radiohead. And lyrics to this song are, I think, about the end of the world. really understand what any of the lyrics are because, well, again, all of the lyrics were improvised on the spot, and also the vocal effect is kind of hard to understand. But I think the song's about the end of the world. And basically, I was really trying to make a song that kind of sounded like something you would hear in some form of, like, video game soundtrack. In fact, my friend Wesley, when he sped run listening to this album, he said, I think ACP was a little too wild. Like, it sounds like doom music on cocaine. I really love the guitar solo on this song. This is an amazing guitar solo. It's actually sped up, if you didn't know. I mean, this song is a very fast song, tempo-wise, and so I tried to record the solo at the normal speed of the song so many times, and I just couldn't get it until I decided maybe it would be a neat effect if I slowed the song down, did the solo, and then I sped it up to the right tempo, so it would give off a really cool effect. I do actually have a very early version of this song titled The Fall, which is almost completely different from this song other than, you know, the drum part.
But please help, wake me up from the nightmares, the nightmares, the nightmares.
And going back to me talking about it sounding like a game soundtrack, there actually is a sample from a video game soundtrack. There's a background element, which is a straight sample from the game Sonic CD, and it's the Japanese Quartz Quadrant Bad feature theme. Alright, the next track is called Washed Up. It starts out with the sound of waves crashing into the shore and a very distinct echoey guitar part. Now this guitar part is a straight rip from the song Phil by Buck 65. Yeah, the guitar part is a straight rip from Phil by Block 65. I really love that song, and honestly, I think I'm going to be covering it on one of my upcoming albums. But the intro and first verse and a couple other parts of the song are just a straight rip from Phil with the rapping.
20-some years is a long walk, even if it's not in a straight line. You see a lot of things in the distance, you know what they say about great minds. You and I think about the same things, dream the same dream.
The water really is my team, especially if you're in a crowd of motion my name. Put yourself sinking to the bottom with no one stopping back. This isn't a game.
But stuff like the chorus is pretty much completely original, so it's about half and half a ripoff and half original. There's another pretty solid solo on this song. There's also a very good guitar-many part with the main riff of the song. I actually was going to release this as like sort of a single for the album. I did create a music video for it, that I don't think I still have any footage from the filming, or I don't have the final music video, but basically it had stuff of me playing the song, and it had stuff of me lip-syncing to the song while I was walking through a trampoline park. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think I still have the original video for it, although if I do, I'll probably upload it to YouTube, but I can't guarantee because I don't think I can find it anywhere. And then comes probably the worst song on this album, Everything I Did. I almost didn't even include this song in the album because right before I was going to put it out, I was like, is this really good? I don't think it's that great. We're off to a pretty tight jam, and overall this song is somewhat original, but also not at the same time. Both the bass part and the vocal melody are ripped straight from the national anthem by Radiohead.
Everyone around here, everything I did wasn't just not good enough for you.
This song is about a friend that I had a pretty massive falling out with at the time. And boy, the song sure didn't age well, because literally right after I put this album out, we actually became friends again, like really good friends. But actually, I think the funniest case of me ripping something off comes from the chorus of the song. The lyric, "I've fallen and I can't get up," and also the melody that I sing it is taken from, get this, a shitpost of Freddie Mercury called "Freddie Mercury Slips on Ice and Can't Get Up."
Oh, 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 oh. Oh! I fall in and I can't get up.
I'm falling, I can't get up. Walls are
No, I'm not kidding. That lyric and that melody that I sing said lyric comes from that video. That's the funniest thing ever to me. Another part where it rips off is like the bridge, which is kind of disconnected from the song, and it's a rip-off of I Write Sins, Not Tragedies from Panic at the Disco. But it's probably the worst on this album. Up next comes probably the best song on the album, Stranded. This is the first song that I wrote with intentions of it being on this album. The song's original, although it does take small bits from two songs. The first one is the chord progression to The Bends by Radiohead.
Where did we go from here? The words are coming out of it. Where are you now? When I need you.
And then also this part right after the chorus that is sort of the transition from sections is taken from Unkind by Pause for the Cause.
All the things I love the most.
But I don't know if those were intentional or not. But overall, the song is still an original song, just those two parts. This song, similar to Affordable Connectivity Program, is about the world ending.
Don't fall before beneath the surface, with plastic souls, desperate in the whisper, we'll die now.
Now, this album does have a form of concept, which I will get into when talking about the last track, because I feel like it's most important there. But, yeah, this song is really good. It's not bad. One of my favorite parts of the song is the bridge, which has this, like, very almost like symphonic-esque sound to it, or like it's a very powerful moment in which the drums are kind of pounding away. The guitars are just kind of shimmering out these very unique chords, and behind my vocals there's these backing vocals which is kind of emulating sort of a choir. But this song as it stands is probably the best off this album. Up next comes track 8 called The Point of No Return. This song was inspired by me wanting to make a song that sounded kind of similar to the menu music from Overcooked. So I loaded up a harp patch on my keyboard and I played this little sequence, and then that just loops throughout the entire song. Whilst there's a part in this song that is basically a ripoff of a song that exists, the main ripoff of the song, it's actually lifted from an old track I had written for my old band Phantom called Door to the Afterlife. You can actually find the song if you look up Phantom Forest Fire demo. You'll probably find a playlist of a demo that was pretty much entirely done by me for an album that we were going to create called Forest Fire. But I don't really recommend you give this a listen because it's kind of grating, it's way too long, and my vocals are very, very not good. But a bit of this song was actually lifted from it, such as some of the lyrics and vocal melody. But whereas Door to the Afterlife is about suicide, Point of No Return is kind of about, it's about kind of the shock after you realize someone you really love has died. But the only other thing that this song kind of rips off from is the song El Mañana by Gorillaz. I'm a pretty big fan of this track. It's not my favorite off the album, but it is pretty sweet. It's very emotional, it's very sad, it's very nice. And up next comes Blood of a Young Wolf by Buck 65. And the same Buck 65 that I took the riff from Phil to and the song Washed Up. Blood of a Young Wolf comes from his 2005 album, Secret House Against the World, which I have right here. And honestly, if you asked me what my favorite song of all time was, I'd probably answer you this song. There's actually a sample, in the very beginning, there's a sample that's supposed to emulate the sort of, the little synth bass bit at the very beginning of the song. It's a sample from On Sight by Kanye West. I don't know why I sampled that, but I guess I did. The song is a 5-minute long acoustic / electronic, it's just such a powerful emotional song. This is just such a powerful emotional song about just the disillusionment of kind of the industry, the world, and just how superficial the planet can be. It's a pretty simple song. It's just like 5-6 chords being strummed on an acoustic guitar. There's that amazing drone of the harmonium. And a part that for me is pretty iconic, that 5-note descending surf guitar line. Damn it, this song is so goddamn good! The lyrics of this song, Buck says they were just like 2 stream of conscious verses that he had written on a flight. And they have multiple references to just random things. Yeah. The lyrics of this song are just pure poetry, and it's very difficult to tell what they're about, but at the same time, you feel like you know what they're about, and it's really amazing.
10,000 horses, sable island in the summer. Oh my god, I'm hot still beside myself in friendless number. I ain't got no culture, nothing. Dirty words, but that don't count. Flight attendants, waitresses, superstition, good amount. There's work to do, hell to pay. Memories and fingerprints, common proper ignorance. And I don't wanna go.
Like I said, if you asked me what my favorite song of all time was, I would most definitely answer you this song. So much so that I'm actually going to be covering it on an upcoming Poison by Ivy album. It's the banjo. It's a keyboard patch that I had, and it doesn't sound very good.
I'm talking Amelia and my nigga case of free to counter all alone the way it should be. I don't even need a shower, it seems a whisper.
And then there's the big bridge kind of break in the middle where it becomes electronic, this electronic drum, and the synth. And then it all gets just pulled back down into the somberness.
I don't wanna go to pieces, easily going, afraid of flying, so I'm running.
And of course, there's the outro where the 2 worlds of the song, the acoustic and the electronic, kind of merge into each other for this nice instrumental outro. And it's an amazing penultimate track to A Deer in the Headlights. And then comes the final track, which is an uncredited cover. It's a song written by my friend Atticus called In a Rainbow. The original version by Atticus is pretty similar to the version you hear on A Deer in the Headlights, except I actually took some more creative liberties with this song. Whereas his original, he only has like 4 or so like lines of lyric. I expanded upon the song.
Fire.
just this vast soundscape and only a few lyrics, and then all of a sudden it just ends with this very creepy, sort of glitching out sound. I decided to extend it. Extend the instrumental, extend the song, give it a lot more lyrics, and sort of mutate what the song was about. The original song, according to Atticus, is about how he tries to feel better about himself in bad situations, but this song, I've twisted it into how it's about suicide. And this is where the concept of the album comes into play. So, this album is somewhat of a concept album. It has a loose narrative which I didn't really pull off that well. But basically, in its simplest terms, this album is a concept about a suicide victim and the stages of life from birth in which eventually to the moments leading up to them killing themselves. Welcome to the Land of Pain is them at kind of like a young age realizing how fucked up the world is. But the thing is, it's a concept. It's not genuine. But I didn't make it come across that way. I thought it was pretty obvious that I was playing a character, but it seems that it was not to the people who had heard the album, because there are actually people who, after listening to the album, were genuinely concerned for my mental health and were very worried as if I was okay or not. I was perfectly fine at the time, and yeah, I really should have found out some form of way to communicate that the album was a statement or it was a concept, but I couldn't do it. So like I said, it left a lot of people actually concerned for my mental well-being, which, yeah, I'm perfectly fine. But yeah, this song is really beautiful. It sounds like you're floating in space, and there's the vocals, they reverberate through the song, and yeah, this is a pretty faithful reimagining of Atticus's original track, but it also expands it into my own kind of thing. The ending of the song with that sort of, that little vocal just ringing out into the abyss, and then all of a sudden the song just gets taken over by just this creepy soundscape, very similar to the originals. Then eventually it just completely glitches out, and then you hear like these sounds of like just these like very cinematic sort of movie like glitching, crashing, just like everything's just come crashing down. And honestly, when I listen to it now, it actually does give me chills. It's really good. And then it ends with me messing around with a keyboard thing where the octave is turned so high that it sounds like static. And yeah, it's kind of a heart-stopping listen. But that, my friends, was a deer in the headlights. My first album. Is it the worst thing ever? No. I'm just kind of ashamed of the execution of the album. It's just... the songs themselves take a part of another song, and yeah, it's just... I don't know, it's a constant through line that kind of hinders my enjoyment of the album. I just kind of wish that I didn't make it the way I made it. So yeah, anyways, that's a deer in the headlights. So thank you for watching CD Reviews with John. Really appreciate you.